Loki is banned from movie night by GeneCooper and PeterStark. A soft hand combing through Peter's hair made him sigh. It was a nice, warm feeling. May rarely did that anymore. He missed it. Normally he would have heard May come into his room though. In fact, he couldn't hear her heartbeat or breathing. That was strange. Peter was fine with it. He liked this floaty space between sleep and awake. His joints felt tired though. He didn't know why. He couldn't remember getting into a fight the night before. His lungs hurt too, like he couldn't get a full breath. Was he laying on his left arm? It was a bit tingly. A soft kiss met his forehead and Peter smiled a little. Then he frowned when kisses met his cheek, then neck, then along his jaw. Okay, weird. Peter jolted back and blinked his eyes open. It was a little blurry at first. He couldn't see the dust motes or all of the bright lights. Everything looked dim, without all of the texture he'd become used to. You okay? I was worried when you didn't come to bed last night. Peter frowned. That was Pepper's voice. Miss Potts? He asked groggily, but his voice sounded all wrong. It sounded like Mr. Stark's. What are you doing here? It's our living room, sweetheart. Did you have a nightmare or something? I told you I didn't mind helping you through those. Pepper sighed and leaned in for another kiss. Whoa, nuh-uh. I mean, you're great and all, but so weird and wrong. Peter tried to flip off the couch, but his body didn't agree with him. He fell in a heap behind it. Tony, are you all right? Pepper ran around. What the hell were you trying to do? Huh. God, I have a headache. This is the weirdest dream. Peter rubbed his head and winced. His hands were too tan, too calloused. He examined them and his arms, which were definitely too big to be his. Peter touched his face and it felt wrong. Then he pulled his shirt forward. Scar tissue marred the middle of his chest, but Peter had seen those scars before. What the fuck? Tony, what's wrong? Miss Potts, I'm not Mr. Stark. Wow, how bad was your night? Pepper sighed. No, really, Miss Potts, I think something happened. Tony and I went on a mission last night, though, right? I don't remember that. I don't think so. It was movie night, right? Peter stood up and frowned when his knees cracked. He was a little taller than he was used to, less flexible, more built, but less strong. It was really weird. Okay, think. Hey, Karen, can you get a hold of Mr. Stark? I think something happened. Or maybe I'm dreaming still. I don't know. We watched Freaky Friday last night, 'cause Captain Rogers hadn't seen it. I'm sorry I crashed on your couch, Miss Potts. I don't remember doing that. I'm sorry. I don't remember a lot, actually. Karen, a little help? Peter started to pat his pockets, trying to find his phone. Pepper's eyes widened. Wait. Peter? Yes, I'm Peter, Peter said triumphantly, even though his voice still sounded wrong to his ears. Oh my god, I kissed a miner. This is the cake topper. Pepper face-palmed. Yeah, that was, weird. Peter didn't mean to insult her, though. Not that it wasn't nice. It was nice. You're a nice lady and all. But it's just that it was really weird. But it isn't your fault or anything. Like, I don't even know what happened. But it's cool because you thought I was Mr. Stark because I look like Mr. Stark and all this is really, really weird. I mean, I know he's got good eyesight for a normal person, but I feel, like, blind right now. Yeah, you're definitely Peter. Your voice is just not cracking anymore. Pepper sighed and shook her head. So, what do you think? What happened this time? Peter shrugged. I've got a headache, Miss Potts. Do you know why I'd have a headache? And my arm hurts. Tony's left arm always hurts as far as I know. It might be a caffeine headache. I'll go make some coffee and we'll try to figure this out, okay, sweetie? Her voice was different this time, less lover and more motherly. Yeah, that's cool. I don't really like coffee though. You got like a lot of creamer? Peter asked. Pepper laughed. Tony'd die if he knew his body was ingesting creamer. Don't worry, I'll make sure you get some though. She kissed Peter's temple and walked away. Peter could hear her muttering, I'm so fucking done with this crazy shit. Sorry, Miss Potts. Don't worry, Peter, it's just a normal Thursday for me at this point. Friday suddenly spoke up. Sir, you have a call from Aunt Hottie. She seems to be distressed. Aunt Hottie? Peter asked. Then he remembered that's what Tony called Aunt May. Peter had seen Tony's lists of contacts before. Almost none of them were listed as their real names. It was all Underoos, Peppy, Capsicle, Point Break, Widowmaker, Go Tell Aunt Rhodey, Chronically Unhappy, Jolly Green Science Guy, and Vent Repairman. So, of course, Tony's name for Aunt May would be Aunt Hottie. You mean May? Yeah, let's answer that. I should talk to her, tell her I'm okay. Are you all right, sir? You don't sound like yourself, Friday pointed out. Peter looked down at himself, except this body wasn't his. Yeah, I don't feel normal either. It's fine. Pepper returned with a cup of coffee and Peter took a sip, his head already feeling better just by the smell of the coffee. Let's talk to Aunt May. Tony curled into a ball. Never had he felt more miserable, and that was saying something. His head was pounding. He swore he could hear a fly buzzing across the street, and there was just so much noise everywhere, and even with his eyes closed, the light was blinding. He was sure this migraine would kill him. It felt like someone was sawing into his skull. His skin felt scratchy. Everything that touched him felt rough and abrasive like sandpaper. All the noise and smells and light, it was just too fucking much. He whimpered and the sound sounded like a gunshot to his ears. If the migraine didn't kill him, he'd get up and find a gun and pull the trigger himself. But damn, everything felt so itchy and intolerable, and the pain made it so he couldn't move. A door slammed and Tony threw his hands over his ears. God, it hurt so much. Time to get up, bud, you're running late, a voice called. Tony squeezed his eyes shut tighter, water leaking out of them. The pain was just too fucking much. Peter, are you all right? The voice was sort of familiar, but his head hurt too much to think about it, though. Peter, though, was he in trouble too? Had they been hit by something that was causing all of this pain? Tony tried to open his eyes to find Peter and help him, but the light hurt too much and he closed them again. Oh, honey, sensory overload again? The voice was a whisper, but it was still so loud that it might as well have been a gun. It's really bad this time, huh? No school today. I'm going to call Mr. Stark, see if he can help you. Tony must have been curled up out of sight, because there was no way he was in any fit state to take care of Peter. Tony could hear Aunt Hottie take a call. You've reached Friday. How may I help you? I need to speak to Tony. Peter looks really bad. I've never seen him this overloaded by his powers. I just think maybe Mr. Stark can help. Tony felt his eyes water. This time he couldn't. He wouldn't be able to help Peter at all. One moment, please. A few seconds later, Tony heard his own voice speaking. Hey, Aunt May, what's up? What's wrong? Peter's got a really bad sensory overload. I mean, he's crying and he won't move. He's curled up in this tight ball with his hands over his ears, but I think he can still hear everything. I don't know what to do. In fact, it's kind of weird that you aren't doing that weird flirty thing. Shit. Can you ask who he is? What do you mean? Aunt May wondered. Well, Aunt May, I woke up this morning in Mr. Stark's body. Like, I need caffeine and my left arm hurts and my joints are a little sore. Plus, I'm taller, which is kind of weird. I tried to do a backflip and that didn't work out so well. Miss Potts even tried to kiss me, so that was, like, really weird. May was silent for a beep. I thought you found Miss Potts pretty. May, you can't say things like that. Miss Potts is here. And she's pretty. But she's engaged to Mr. Stark and he's kind of like my dad. And so she's like family. No, that's just weird. Too weird. I mean, I larb her, but I don't larb her, No offence, Miss Potts. I think you're awesome. You're like a powerhouse. Okay, you are, Peter. Mr. Stark would never talk like that. Give me just a minute so I can figure out who's currently laying in your bed. Tony winced, then a hand gently combed through his hair. Hey, can you tell me your name? Tony. It hurt. Stop touching me, Aunt Hottie. Yeah, looks like the two of you got switched around. What the fuck were you doing, kid? No idea. Peter said in Tony's voice. Look, just grab the headset sitting on the desk, put it over his ears, then put the extra blanket over the window like a curtain and pull all the outlet plugs in my room. Oh, and hold his wrist as tight as you can. Just don't let him grab you. He probably doesn't know his strength. When I woke up all mutated, I broke everything. It was awful. Oh, I know, Peter. I was the one who had to buy the new laptop. And the phone. Sorry, mate. I'll be there in a while. Then there was a laugh. Actually, I'll take the suit. Be there in a few minutes. Tony wished he could have told the kid not to get him one of his suits, but it hurt too much to speak. Peter geeked out a lot, at being able to fly an Iron Man suit. He may have successfully pulled off the superhero landing too, which was icing on the cake. It was a dream come true, like it was the weirdest but the best day ever. He landed on his own rooftop and smiled when the suit came off. It was just so freaking satisfying, the way it wrapped and unwrapped around him, melting into nothing but a small space of light over his chest. Kinda like the spider suit, only more badass. Peter didn't know how in the world Mr. Stark functioned though, given his state of his lungs. The arc reactor had seriously fucked with his lung capacity, yet somehow Mr. Stark ran around fighting baddies like it was nothing. And that damn left arm, man, it was annoying. Peter went down to his own apartment and went to dig his key out, only to realise he didn't have a key. He knocked instead. May opened the door and he gave her a hug. Well, hello there, this is weird. You're definitely not Mr. Stark. May laughed. This is already weird enough, May. Peter sighed and looked around the house. He pulled open one of his school notebooks and began to write on it. All right, you stay here. I'm going to try and help him with stuff. I'm going to need his brain power if we're going to fix whatever happened to us. It was no fun getting my powers, so I'm guessing he's not in a good place. Peter walked into his bedroom and quickly but quietly shut the door to get rid of the light. He approached the curled up body, and damn, it was weird to look at his own body. Is that really what I look like? It's different than looking in a mirror, that's for sure. Man, it's like I'm dying and this is an outer body thing, Peter muttered. He sat on the bed and Peter's body, Tony, jolted, but remained curled up. All right, sit up, we gotta talk. Tony obviously couldn't hear him with the headset on. Peter had designed them for bad days, so he could shut down for a little bit without all the noise. Peter grabbed Tony's wrist tightly and watched as he uncurled and looked up at Peter. Peter held up the notebook and pushed it toward Tony. Tony read the writing and reacted, sitting up. Tony began some slow breathing exercises. I'm going for a hug, Peter said, letting Tony read his lips. He wrapped his arms around Tony and held him for a long time, keeping his grip firm. Tony didn't hold him back, but after almost 10 minutes, Peter felt Tony begin to relax. Peter waited another few before he pulled off the headphones. Tony tensed and covered his ears instantly. No, listen to me, to my voice, Peter spoke. He kept his voice at a perfect level, not a whisper but not quite a normal inside voice. It was a good place. Listen to my words, it's really important, because the problem you've got right now is that your focus is bouncing all over the place, which is why you have a headache. It's because you don't know where to focus. So I'm going to babble like a moron until you focus on the sounds closest to you and let the rest become a hum. It's like when you're having a movie night. It's like all the Avengers are talking and all you want to watch Han be as sexy as fuck, so you drown out all of the noisy people and their chatter by focusing on the movie. All the other noises just need to become white noise, like fan in the background. If you don't filter it out, then it'll drive you crazy. I had to learn that way. And I'm sorry, I know you don't like hugs, but I know my skin's really sensitive, so if you end up focusing on the pressure more than the texture, you'll feel better. Your left arm is numb. Is that normal? Tony spoke with Peter's voice, which was also weird. Yeah, kid, that's normal. You should see a doctor about this, man. It's annoying. Are you focusing a little better? It won't make the headache better, but it'll make it so you won't make it worse if you focus on me. Plus, I brought super medicine, but I know anything about a sensory overload. You won't be able to keep a pill down right now, so we gotta get you calm first. Sorry about that. Usually I just listen to some really chill music. You want me to put some on? Here, one sec. Peter let go of Tony, but didn't make it far before Tony threw himself forward and hugged Peter. Is this why you're so clingy? Yeah, sometimes. It helps me focus instead of trying to count the threads in my shirt. I don't normally feel like that, but on sensory overload days it helps. I can usually ignore it, but on the bad days, that's usually when I get clingy. Peter shrunk a little. Okay, watching Tony Stark's body shrink in on itself the way you do when you get shy is like my new favourite thing, honey, May whispered. No, Peter raised a hand. Don't whisper, the soft S sounds are really annoying. Sorry, kid, May spoke up. She walked into the room and held out a glass of juice and an old iPod. Thanks, May, Peter smiled. This is a tough one. Is this how it feels to watch this? This is crazy. Yeah, it's no fun going through this either, Tony said. Sorry, Mr. Stark, we'll get you better and we'll figure out what happened with us. Peter rubbed Tony's back. It was weird how small his own body felt in Tony's, arms. If Tony hugged him, like they were back in their right bodies, would Tony notice that? Whoa, hey, you're a lot stronger than you used to be. Relax, okay? Sorry, kid, it just hurts. Jesus, I never knew how bad this was for you. How'd you not accidentally hurt someone or, go insane with all this input? I got used to it. My body is actually built for it now, and my mind's caught up with it, so it's not usually a thing, but you're brand new to it, so it's all a lot. Peter rubbed Tony's back for a few more times. Better? Yeah. Tony leaned away and wiped his eyes quickly, as if ashamed of the show of pain. The noise is still a little... Peter tried to open his iPod. It wouldn't unlock. Wait, can you put your finger on that button? Tony rolled his eyes and unlocked Peter's iPod. Peter scrolled to his overload playlist and turned it on quietly. If it ever gets too much, just bury yourself in the music. It always helps for me. Now, for the eyes. Peter got up and opened the little crawl space in his ceiling. His suit fell down to him, but he missed it. Tony launched off the bed and made a splendid diving catch. Whoa, your body's reaction time is amazing, but do you really have to keep a multi-million-dollar suit in a crawl space for a maintenance guys to find? Yeah, it's, damn, I haven't dropped anything in a long time. Does it break my streak if I'm not in my body? How does that work? Don't know, kid. It was really weird for Peter to see himself call him kid. It was weirder to see the way Tony Stark stood in his body. That confidence and powerful stance was all Tony, but it looked so weird on Peter. Peter wondered if he was making Tony Stark look small and fidgety. He'd have to straighten his act up if he ever went in public. The media will be all over a fidgety Tony. Peter pulled his mask and fitted it over Tony's head. Here, this'll help your eyes focus. Say hello to Karen for me. Hi Karen, you know this mask is really helpful. My eyes don't hurt so much anymore. Yeah, when I get it really bad, I usually put the mask on, then the headphones and lay on the floor or table. It helps. What if it happens at school, kid? I just grit my teeth and pretend I'm okay until I can get home, Peter shrugged. We'll have to come up with a solution for that, kid. Tony shook his head. Hey, Karen, I'd like to access the Kid Knows Best protocol. The access code is 1937284. Tony spoke so calmly and so in control using Peter's voice. It was unreal. Thanks, Karen. Send me the most recent recordings from... Let me guess, you had to take the new nanosuit, didn't you? Never mind, of course you did. You're a kid who just got access to all the coolest tech in the world. Of course you picked the latest and greatest suit. Tony huffed and somehow managed to look disapproving in the Spider-Man mask. Bring up the footage. He was still for a moment. Wow, kid, not a scratch. You did pretty well. I guess muscle memory really is a thing. Peter rubbed the back of his neck. So, you want to head over to the tower? We should probably work on this thing now that you're mostly alive. Peter held out 3 pills and the glass of juice. You're only supposed to take one of those, kid. I know the dosage. Yeah, after an overload like that, you need at least 2, but 3 is better, trust me. The headache is killer. Well, it is your body, but we're going to have to talk about you following the labels. Jesus, kid, we made these for Captain America. Tony shrugged and downed all 3 of them. Yeah, well, gunshots and stab wounds mean 2, headaches mean 3. Peter folded his arms across his chest. And don't look at me that way. You made those for a super soldier, not for a spider mutant teenager with a crazy fucking metabolism. Seriously, I can catch Bucky's arm and Cap's being knocked out by that thing. I lifted a building off me. I think of it. I haven't even figured out my max strength yet. Cap only has an upper hand because he's been doing this longer. Peter shrugged. Plus, my senses are way more maxed out than his. I feel everything a lot more than he does. That includes pain. So, yeah. And maybe, can we ask Dr. Banner to help with meds for me? No offence to your work or anything, but I'm kind of hopped up on some radiation and genetic freaky stuff, and I think that's Dr. Banner's wheelhouse. Sure, kid, I'll have him get on that. You have a valid point, Tony nodded. We need to get to the tower. I can carry you, Peter offered. Hell no, Tony shook his head. Sorry, but I'm not going to get carried around bridal style by a kid. Dude, come on, I can bench like 100 of you, at least. Not in that body, you can't. Plus, if you can try out my suit, I get to use yours. Peter stood still for a moment, then nodded. Sure. Okay, get out so I can put this on, Tony said, holding the spider suit in his hands. Mr. Stark, you're kind of wearing my skin right now. I've seen it all. Peter shrugged. Tony sighed heavily and rubbed his head. This is the most weirdest, most awkward thing ever, and we're never talking about it again. Agreed. And seriously, dude, see a doctor. Your arm is freaking me out. 5 hours in the lab did nothing to help reverse this. It only made both men uncomfortably aware that they'd have to use the restroom at some point. Dr. Banner had no clue. Dr. Cho had no clue. Everyone was at a loss. Until Thor showed up while they were sulking on the couch. Tony was popping another pain pill, trying to ease the headache. Hello, man of iron, spiderling, Thor waved. Then he stopped and looked at both of them. Your mannerisms are wrong. Young Peter, you are acting strangely, as are you a Tony. That's because he's Peter and I'm Tony. Tony rolled his eyes. Thor just nodded. Freaky Friday. My brother made me watch that film this morning for the first time. It was lovely and funny. It seems strange that you would be in the same situation. Do films usually come to life like this? But, Mr. Thor, you watched it last night with us. Heavens no, last night I was feasting on Asgard. Peter and Tony shared a look. Tony stood up and glared at Thor. Oh, yes, you are very much not Peter. That look of anger is something Tony would wear. Peter would never. Which is why Peter is worthy, Thor commented. Thor, where is Loki? Tony demanded. You really think Loki would cast a spell like this on the two of you? Thor sighed heavily. Yeah, that sounds like him. I'll go fetch him, shall I? 20 minutes later, Thor returned, holding Loki by the ear. Loki shot webs at the trickster and pinned him to the wall. Fix this. I've no idea what you're talking about, Loki said. But my, when did you become so confident, Peter? It looks good on you. Loki smiled. Fix it, Tony growled. Peter sighed and rolled his eyes. Look, you had your fun, Loki. It was a very funny joke, but I thought you said you were trying to be nicer. Peter managed to make Tony's voice sound softer and kinder than most people had ever heard it. It's funny. I am nice. I could have turned you both to frogs or stabbed you. Loki shrugged. He does like stabbing people. I think that and playing tricks is how he shows his affection, Thor agreed. Look, Tony's not built to deal with my powers. He keeps getting sensory overload, and you've seen me when that happens. It sucks. And the suit is really cool and all, but I have a Spanish test tomorrow, and Mr. Stark will probably rely too much on his knowledge of Italian, and I'll fail, and that'll look bad. Loki beamed. You are just the most adorable person in the universe, Peter. Worried about him and classes. So freaking cute. How can I say no when you ask so nicely? Mind untying me? Peter walked forward and helped Loki out of the webs. This won't be fun, sorry, Loki said in a sing-song voice before he tapped both Tony and Peter on the forehead. Searing pain made them both drop to the floor. Peter stood up and looked around. Damn, everything was so bright, and... wait. He patted his body down, shorter, thinner, and... wait for it. Yup, he could do a backflip again. Thanks, Loki. Tony looked down at his own hands and, as always, ignored the tremor in his left hand. I'm going to strangle you. It was just a joke, Mr. Stark. Be nice. Peter shrugged, happy to be in his own body again. I gotta go take a leak. See you later, bestie. Me too, Tony sighed. You are permanently banned from movie night. Thor, you keep Loki honest for that one. And wait, did Peter just call you bestie? Loki smirked. Yeah, me and the kid get on swimmingly. He's lovely. You should be proud of your son. He's not my... Okay, maybe a little. You stay away from him. You're a bad influence. Okay, Dad. Shut up, smartass, Tony said before heading off to find the nearest bathroom. Tony sighed as he climbed into bed that night. He rested his head on Pepper's leg and closed his eyes. Hello, sweetie. Peter head back home? Yeah, today was a fucking nightmare, Tony groaned, but relaxed when Pepper combed her fingers through his hair. Was it really that bad? Pepper wondered. I've never had a headache that bad in my life, Pep, and I spent most of my life hungover, so that's saying something. That and being a teenager again was the most painful experience ever. I can only imagine. Yes, you can only imagine, because last I checked you were never a teenage boy. Pepper wrinkled her nose. Oh, I never considered that. God, that must have been awkward. So fucking awkward. All the time. Tony collapsed. I might just kill Loki. Now, I don't think murder is the right answer. Well, Thor did say Loki thinks stabbing is a sign of affection. Maybe he'd be happy to bleed out. Tony rolled his eyes. And I don't like that he and Peter hang out so much. Why didn't I know about this? Pepper giggled and kissed the top of his head. You are such a dad. I'm not, Tony huffed, then shot straight up. Oh my god, the headaches Peter gets. I need to figure out how to help dial down his senses. He says he just grits his teeth through the overloads. Can you imagine? I need to help him. Such a dad. It looks good on you. Pepper ruffled his hair. Tony smiled. Well, Peter is the best kid I could ever hope for, but damn, I need to help him out, that poor kid. Sleep now. Go on your overprotective creating spree tomorrow after coffee. Deal? Deal, Miss Potts. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed. I decided not to do voices for Peter and Tony because I was finding it too confusing to keep track of what each voice should sound like, so I just read them both neutrally. Have a lovely rest of your day.